Also in collusion with government?
No, they don't understand it.
Banks also don't understand it?
They are definitely in collusion. They are definitely in collusion. 100% in collusion. How do you think some of these CEOs are earning salaries of 200 million a year? This is a collusion. You take our money from our deposits. You give it to the government at 18%, William Ruto was saying the other day. Then you come with tax measures that have to pay it back. All right? The banks make huge money. You and I try and get a loan. We are told, no. You are at risk, maybe 28%, maybe 25%. And we are priced out of the market because we take a loan at that. The cost of anything we produce is too expensive. Nobody will buy it. So this has been in collusion because the same banks who give you loans must also look at the laws of government. What law is allowing them to ask for a bond? And when they look at it, they'll know that bond is a borrowing. And you can only borrow, because bonds are long-term, in the long term for development. So show us where you have anchored our bond on development. Like you hear infrastructure bond, and I hear they want to try and raise another one very soon. I advise everybody to stay away from it. It is odious. And if you want to do it, no problem. There will come a time you realize you have sunk yourself.
So you're saying
this is odious. It does not go to any infrastructure project. They took a 200 and something early this year. What roads are being built here? Where is the prospectus? Where is it in the budget that this bond is going to fund these roads? There's nothing going on here. William Ruto's last budget had 800 billion for development. The actuals are only 315 he spent. He has no money for development. If it's 315, are you saying the entire bond went to that 315? No. That was even foreign money, donor, of projects that are continuing that were done by Uhuru, not even by him. So we have a significant problem here, that this money is not going to anything else but consumption. Because even in the last finance year, he borrowed 1.5 trillion. 1.5 trillion. And he's only done development of 300. So where did this other money go?
So if we're saying, can't pay, won't pay, that's what you're saying.
What we're saying, we're not going to say even can't pay. We're saying this is not in our law, we can't pay it. We're not going to pay it.
Okay.
Yes.
What is, because we really have to close at this point, I want to hear what your alternative plan and thinking is to get this country back economically, because you speak heavily on the problem and you talk about what it is and you frame it. What would be the solution that gets us back? First, you're saying we don't pay what we owe because the debt was not taken legally. That is your claim. And then we've got a broad-based government that you say is not one that is going to help. You want President William Ruto to leave office today. If you were president, because you tried to run for president in 2022, if you were president today, what would be the 1, 2, 3 things that you would do to solve the crisis in the country?
I'll tell you. The first thing is that I would cut off the chain of debt. Because I want you to understand that in as much as all this is going on, I told you we only had a deficit of 1.3. Kenyans, up until today, have paid 9.8 trillion towards that debt and still owe 11 trillion. It is something I would cut off like yesterday. And that frees up government money to be able to provide services to Kenyans and stimulate the economy by taking money back to the people. And that is what you call now economic liberation. The one thing that has not been understood by many people up until today is what period we're in. We went through the political rights period, which is about cutting up this cake for seats, as they are trying to do now. Nobody cares about it because we passed it. The 2010 Constitution gave us our rights. Now we are into the economic rights period, where we define economic.
Welcome back to Mora TV. In today's video, we are going to focus about Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi's story here on Citizen TV. live bulletin which happened some time ago. So there are several things he talks, one of them being economic factors which are haunting Kenyans. And he suggested that the CEO of these big banks who are Mr. Big Salaries might be in collusion with government, and that's why they are giving very expensive loans to people and calling them high risk. Because of this factor, then they're able to give out this money to the government in terms of bond, because they have a surety that the government will return the money compared to the citizens of the country. And that's why we are economically going down. That's first of all what he talked about. Another thing he talked about is that indeed we might be in risk in the coming days in terms of our economic resources and money, because the rate at which inflation is going to affect Kenya, nobody is still warning about it. And it's going to come sooner than we expect. He talked about on how the things are going, the public partnership, public-private partnership, and many other things which most people really don't seem to understand, but in the reality they are there and they are biting us slowly. He suggested look at even taxation policies which are coming up in the country of Kenya. The one blustering economy of East Africa soon will be left behind by other upcoming giants who might be limping, but they are gathering a very steady pace in the coming days. Look at the neighborings of Kenya. They are now the leading destinations of business and investment in East Africa compared to Kenya, which was once the very big economic giant, which almost scooped all the investment plans in East Africa.
To the people. And that is what you call now economic liberation. The one thing that has not been understood by many people up until today is what period we're in. We went through the political rights period, which was about cutting up this cake for seats, as they are trying to do now. Nobody cares about it because we passed it. The 2010 Constitution gave us our rights. Now we are into the economic rights period, where we define economic models about the bakers of the cake. I, for example, am a capitalist who believes in an essence of social democracy and social justice, okay? And I must create my model. This is the defining moment of ideological economy, ideological politics. I myself will be very interested to see the private sector be the driver. So I'll never take their money. I don't need it.
And
they themselves.
But there would be consequences, though, of a decision to not pay the debt.
What consequences?
Oh, the consequences of others in the international market looking at Kenya as a risk.
Oh, who told you? Who told you? Because they've created illegalities. Let them say who took that money. Because I want you to show me where that money is reflected in a consolidated fund.
Should we not also be taking issue locally with saying, because you know, you've talked about what the money is, where it goes, where it doesn't go. Shouldn't we also be fixing what is happening locally in terms of the role of Parliament and the role and responsibility of Parliament in terms of managing our debt? If you say that money has gone somewhere, should those people not be found and jailed? Is this a local problem, or is this an international problem?
We've got a system.
And you have to know, yes, certainly, there will be consequences, because they will look at Kenya as a credit risk.
No.
They will increase the credit rates. So there will be a period where you will have to deal with some of the consequences of a decision like that. Now, the question is, what would you be able to do to mitigate some of the consequences?
Yvonne, you want us to live in fear.
No, it's not fear. No,
You're
it's
saying
not fear.
Fear of this happening.
No,
I'm
Jimmy,
sorry.
Jimmy, it's not fear.
Let me answer.
There are consequences, though.
Let me answer.
How would you deal with it?
Let me answer. First and foremost, forget about that fear-mongering. International community, this or that. Sijui nani, this or that. I'm sorry. No matter what they do, we can live within our means. We don't need them. So why do they want us on a chain? Why do they want us on a chain? If we legitimately owe IMF, and it is in the budget, we'll ask those that we paid illegitimately to return it. To return it. Because as I told you, we have paid almost 10 trillion to this debt. That is still at 11 trillion, never coming down, just growing. So let's not live in fear as a nation. Let us not live in fear. I don't live in fear, right? They say when you fear nothing, right? Then what? Those Gen Zs that went to Parliament What did they fear? A bullet, and after the bullet, they still went into the chamber. They succeeded. And it's very sad that they were killed. Over 200 have been killed. We mourn them. They are our heroes. Let us not live in fear. What consequences? We can live within our means. We don't need their money. My issue, fundamentally, is what we do with those local bonds that you're talking about, because it's odious.
Apart from that, he talked about economic liberation as also another thing which is supposed to happen in Kenya. The other day, you saw KRA release servicemen and servicewomen who were supposed to go business to business to ensure that the businesses are tax compliant. But did you see where that narrative went? They rolled it out, and it might have met very heavy resistance in the streets of Kenya. Remember how the finance bill was really super debated? It is because it was having some key issues which majority of Kenyans felt that it's going to affect them. The prices of transacting money through the mobile platforms was to go high. Even digital creators were to be taxed, even farmland. And this finance bill became very debated, so much that it even led to the occupation of parliament on that June 25th. And since then, the president withdrew that controversial finance bill. But the country of Kenya is not yet far because these things are still getting back in fewer and some minimal like introduction through bills, and the way they are being introduced is really unnoticeable, and it's going to be something which might be a tickling time bomb. And in the coming days, we might see even more policy or more punitive measures which are coming in the name of ensuring tax compliance. We have seen how the things like mobile phones are being targeted and many other business owner, even the tills and the platforms, this money payment platform, tills and the pay bills are going to be also targeted to ensure compliance. But the question is, why should KRA really look for much money yet there is a lot of money which has been stolen through corruption? If there was no corruption in Kenya, then Kenya could be the one big giant in Africa in terms of economic and social development. But at the moment, we have seen a lot of stalled projects from north to south. There have been a lot of activists, some of them like Morara Kebaso, who are focused surely on developments which have stalled, and this gentleman alone has unearthed massive looting in Kenya, especially in a lot of the counties where we have seen multi-billion projects which have stalled for years, some of them dating up to 2014, and they were supposed to be done by 2020. But at the moment, they are half done, and the statistics just suggest that majority of them, the money which has been paid is almost a half. Some of them, the contractors already left site, citing the question, what's really going on in Kenya? If you've watched up to this end, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if you're ever watching from any other platform, make sure you head over to YouTube, search Mora TV and subscribe.